There's just one thing that destroys your ability to market your game, and there's actually a really simple fix, and I'll explain it to you today. Implementing this fix will enable you to go from begging people to play your game to having them demand to play your games. I used to make games that got like, well, people just didn't like them at all. And I implemented this tactic and it changed everything for me. In order to do this, you need to understand a problem you might not even know you have when it comes to marketing your game. I implemented it and again, changed everything for me. I actually had 500,000 people play one of my experiences in the past. So it really changed things in a massive way. However, to truly understand this simple fix, we need to examine how most people market their games and why it's fundamentally flawed. I want to take you across like a mental journey of how people market their games and what you should be doing differently. But first we have to look at the problem. So first and foremost, the mistake that I see everybody making is they begin marketing their game at launch. You don't want to be marketing your game at launch. This is a terrible idea. Marketing campaigns take forever to find their target audience. Like, you got to find the people who are passionate about your game. And if you start on launch, what are you doing? Instead, you should be marketing your game right from the design document. Now, you've seen some of my game back here, Sky Jellies. You should be marketing from the idea. What I did to market my game in the beginning is I actually took images from a similar game and I like put them in a diagram and I showed that to people and just ask them, what do you think? What if we made this game like this? And put it out there and see if people like the idea. Now, of course, you don't want to be an idea person. We all know ideas not as powerful as anything else, but start getting feedback right from the start. It'll help you so much also, because when it comes to motivation to make your game, knowing people want your game is so important. To give you a practical sense of how I'm doing this, I take images like the screenshots you see behind me, and I put them on competitor subreddits of my game, and I ask, you know, the people who play those games, what do you think of this game? And, you know, what is that, and is that different? So mistake 2, I see everyone doing this. I did this back in the day too. Joining every platform. You'll go on Twitter, you'll go on all of these platforms, and you'll be like, you'll post a few posts and be like, you know, why isn't everybody engaging? You know, I heard there's tons of traffic here. So why is it happening, you might ask? There are legitimately millions of people looking for traffic, doing the exact same thing, and what you really need to be doing is you should be jumping in to contribute valuable content to a conversation that's happening in your niche, right? So don't just put anything out there. Look to make a valuable contribution, and really I suggest people start by focusing on one platform, really get to know that community, engage with that community, see what they want, and deliver really highly relevant content to that niche, and include your game in that content. That's just the way that I would do it. Or look for a place where you can just share your game that people are passionate. For example, my game, there's a wholesome direct thing that happens. If I send them a trailer, I'm sure they'll put it up there. It's just like they feature all sorts of wholesome games, and so why wouldn't they feature mine, right? So see if you can be part of a conversation, research a little bit, and contribute really valuable, needed content. Just keep in mind that not every platform is the same. So one YouTube view is worth a lot more than one TikTok view, and one TikTok view is worth a lot more than 20 Twitter impressions. So just be aware, some of these platforms like to fudge the numbers a little bit and say, oh, impressions, that must be really important. Impressions are not really important. You got to have that personal connection with people and look at how people react to your post. That's the most ubiquitous metric, right? Comments, likes, those kind of things. Just YouTube is just the king of having influence, if you want to have influence. Now, we're starting to shift our mentality away from merely seeking to promote our game to being part of our conversation. That's the most important part. We're changing the way of thinking about things. But what even is our target audience, and why does it matter? And this gets to mistake number 3. Marketing to everyone. I see this all the time. They're like, hey, if I market to just people who like, you know, games with slimes in them, or stuff like that, cute creatures or whatever, then, well, the world isn't going to buy my game. Only people who buy cute creatures. You'd be surprised how many people are interested in cute creatures, right? So narrow it down to people who care about your thing. People feel tempted to market to the whole world because they think, well, then the whole world can buy. First and foremost, think about it this way. Like, you are a mother looking for a gift for your son, 10-year-old son, and you know that he loves cars, right? And so you come across some packaging and it says, good for boys, good for girls, good for people who like racing, good for animals, good for people with grand imaginations and those without them. You know, if it's good for everybody, they're like, am I sure? Compare that with this, right? If she gets a package that says, the ultimate toy for kids who love racing, be focused. Already racing is a big category. You should narrow down from that even, but Be focused. It'll help you convert people to sales. People really underestimate what it takes to convert people. They have a lot of options they can go to. So please work hard and convert people to a sale rather than anything else, and you know, get them over. In my personal experience, marketing to everyone is marketing to no one. Talking about these issues, we're crossing a really important bridge that's going to change everything, but it requires you to know just a little bit more. Please, you got to understand how it's done wrong so you can do it right. Marketing at the wrong time. Okay, this is a huge mistake I see a lot of people do. To understand this problem, you really need to understand that people's price attention has a price tag. So when you put up an advertisement, this is what it's like. You go and you buy in an auction, right? You go to an auction house where there are thousands of placements on sale. So let's imagine there's an ad right next to me. This ad is going to be worth like $10, okay? But you're going to go to an auction house and you're actually going to bid on this ad, whether you have the right to put your space, your face there. Now, even if you don't do ads, this is really important because this is how YouTube will think about placing a video. This is how attention generally is worth money. But just imagine yourself headed to an auction house and everyone is bidding for the attention of people. The more auctions that you attend, the more chances you have of finding a good deal because you don't need it right now, right? You can say, okay, well, I'll wait till the next one to find a good deal because there are auctions happening all of the time in this space. So if you're in a rush, if you do things last moment, you're going to end up in real trouble. Moreover, if you're going to go during Black Friday and try to market your thing, there's not going to be room for you because everybody's willing to pay a high price to get people in to buy their products. It's when people buy things. So be aware that, you know, you're going to think about it as a competition. And if you're going to place your game next to AAA budget games that are coming out for the Christmas rush, you're gonna get swamped because you don't have that sort of budget. So you should probably think about something more indie, something smaller. You know, Valentine's Day is still a pretty big day, but you know it's a much better niche to target than Christmas. You know, you're gonna have much more luck with that. This all leads to one major change, which makes all the difference. But to understand it, we have to bust one really prevalent myth that we see all the time in the game industry, and it's this: if you build it, they will come. Do you remember when as a child you used to think that everyone else was just like you? As we grow up, we learn more and more that each mind is like a universe in itself. Every person is so radically different, and how they perceive the world is like so different from person to person, and the same goes for fun. You can't assume that because you think it's fun, other people will too. I'm just gonna give you an example from my life. I'm really passionate about economics. I love thinking about economics in a global system, right? Turns out this is a very, very niche thing, right? I love to make games that have economic things in them. I had to find out the hard way. People were not that interested in this. And so, you know, just be aware. You've got to test and figure out these kind of things because, you know, just because you're passionate about it just doesn't mean it's not just you. You might just be a very unique person. And yeah, that might appeal to people that are exactly like you, but just be aware that that might be a niche that's almost non-existent. You're not going to be able to sell your game at all. So yes, we do want to find a niche, but make sure it's a niche that there are some people in. There's this myth and misunderstanding of the game dev community that great games are made when people focus entirely on what they're passionate about. They're purists. They want to do their thing. The truth is similar, but different. Rather than developing a game in a void, you want to share what you're passionate about with the world. Like I was saying with the design document marketing, right? Get it out there, see what people think, and then focus on the things that are like, just imagine a Venn diagram, right? Here's what you're passionate about, here's what people love, focus on the little thing in between, get that thing done, and you'll be able to do all the rest, right? You'll feel like you're able to do what you love and somebody cares about it, because trust me, if you try to go through the development of a game, which is so hard, and you don't actually focus on what people care about, it's just going to be heartbreaking for you in the long term because you're never going to get it finished. You need their energy. Like there's only like 1 in a million people who can finish a game without any feedback because they're on a different tier, okay? But most people need some sort of encouragement not to have the self-doubt. Or you could be like a multi-millionaire from your past games or whatever. I've seen that a few times. But, you know, how do I say this? Get some feedback. It'll help you finish your game, please. talk to people and get their feedback on your game. And if you want a place to do that, you can check out our Discord. It's a great place to talk to people who are friendly, who are interested to playtest your game. We actually right now do a playtest every week where we allow anybody to come in and playtest their game. One of the things I've seen, I'll bring this up, and people will talk about like Minecraft and Stardew Valley. Didn't they do these kind of things? But if you actually look up the history of Minecraft and Stardew Valley, which I did for this video, you will see that they were very community oriented. They didn't develop in a vacuum. One of the things that the lead, Eric Barone, on Stardew Valley did is he actually created Stardew Valley only after he got public reception. And so what some people will do is they'll create the art, they'll get that public feedback, and they'll be like, people are really interested, and they'll commit to it, right? And it's more important now than ever that you do this, because back in 2012, when he started making that game, 2011 I think it was, you know, making a game was a more rare thing. Now everybody's making a game, right? There's like 25 games coming out. The second your game comes out, you've got to be competing. My mentors tell me that nowadays marketing is 90% of game development. I'm finding that out the hard way. So please don't leave it to the last moment. We all tell ourselves that true craftsmanship happens when we lock the doors and hide ourselves from the world, but the truth is that it's somewhere in between that. You've got to be passionate, do something you're passionate about, but you know, think about the other group also, you know? So anyway, so I love talking about this topic. So if you have a question, I'm going to do my best to respond to 1,000 questions that come in the bottom of this, up to 1,000. You know, there might just be 10. Who knows? But if you want to leave questions for me, I love this subject, and I'll make future videos off of it. So leave your comments, and I'll get back to you. The next video is from that guy I was just talking about. My one of my mentors. He's worked 20 years EA and Ubisoft about. And many other companies, and he's very knowledgeable about this subject. We talk about this very issue, so I'm going to leave this video in the middle of the screen for you to click right there. Go ahead. It talks about the top 10 mistakes game designers make when they make games, and we cover this subject in that video and hear it straight from an expert. You'll learn how to do market research for your game right here in this video. Go ahead and click it now. It should be in the top right too. If you're on mobile, sometimes it doesn't show you anything. So again, you can search it on my channel. Top 10 game design mistakes people make when making their game, and put in P1OM, and go ahead and join it there.